All right, Dan Campbell says change is inevitable for the Detroit Lions moving forward. Let's talk about it. Thumbs up the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel. Dan Campbell, uh, changes is inevitable. Detroit Lions coach Dan Campbell didn't mince words when it comes to the team's offseason. Says every year there's a change within the NFL teams. There's a fair amount of roster turnover year to year. Coaching staffs are usually tweaked here and there. But during Dan Campbell's final press conference of 2025, the Detroit Lions coach seemed to put an extra emphasis that after a failed season, they are not going to stand pat this offseason. Quote, as with everything, when it does work the way we want it to work, it's a number of things. There's a lot of things that go into it. Campbell said, do I have a couple of ideas? Maybe right now, and maybe I need some time here. I need to really sit down and think about all of this. But what we do know is one way or another, probably that is change is inevitable. Now, it may not be much, but there will be something that will change. Now, a lot of people may think, oh, yo, homeboy, there needs to be much change. I wouldn't say much. I just think a lot of the change um, maybe needs to come from the side of philosophy, how we practice in personnel. Maybe we need to put more emphasis on guys' durability throughout high school and college coming to the NFL. How much yardage or how much mileage do a particular athlete have on a body? Have they had major injuries before in college? Maybe taking that a lot more serious than they've been taking it, because they haven't been taking it a lot serious. A lot of these guys have broken up injuries and broken up history throughout their careers, and they still take them, and it translate right into the NFL, and where it's hurting the Detroit Lions to really reach the pinnacles they need to reach because of durability. And from a coach's standpoint, maybe we doing too much hitting in practice. You know what I'm saying? Maybe we don't need to be hitting as much. Maybe to supplement some of that hitting in practice, maybe we need to play some preseason snaps. And that's what it seemed like they be trying to do. It seemed like for the most part, they try to hit as much as practice because they don't play live action in preseason. You know what I'm saying? But ultimately, all that additional hitting that they are doing in practice is overkill, because these guys they coming into the season beat up. They're coming into the season flat out and beat up. So ultimately, there needs to be changes outside of personnel changes, well, outside of roster changes. There needs to be changes. Um, there needs to be changes. There needs to be a lot. There's a number of changes as far as how they do things and how they picking players, and what litmus test they using to pick these players, because y'all just picking injury prone players, and it's just not what's best for the roster right now. So people, most part, people want to get into rosters, but I think they need to get into philosophy in the front office, philosophy how we coach it, and obviously the big changes play calling. I have no issue with Calvin Shepard. Y'all want him to make miracles. Y'all want him to make miracles with players that barely got 1 foot in the NFL and 1 foot out the NFL. So there's certainly perception the Lions may have to have been a little bit complacent last offseason in terms of acquisition. They essentially only added 2 starters, Tate Radish and DJ Reed, although Tyleek Williams and Thomas Harper both started 9 games. And while they were forced into coordinator change on both sides of the ball, they opted to replace the two with them 2 coaches who essentially internal promotions and didn't bring much scheme change either on each side of the ball. And I don't think that's the point. I think defensively, you're a man-to-man team. That's what it is. After a regression on both sides of the ball, I mean, can you really call it a regression? The Lions defense wasn't that hot the year before because of injuries. Campbell's remained purposely vague on when he's talking about plans. Part of that is focused on the final game. Um, I probably start the O-line. Campbell said, just want to see and just a tick more, just a little bit better, see if we can polish some things up. I mean, at the end of the day, man, the changes has got to start with them first. Him and Brad got to look in the mirror and see what they doing right and wrong. That's just what it boiled down. The changes got to come with them looking in the mirror, personnel, Are we going to continue to pick injury prone players? Are we going to continue to hit that much in practice? I think we got a problem. Should we play preseason? I mean, those are the $1 million questions. Those are the $1 million questions. So, hopefully for the most part, they figure that part out. Then we can get into personnel and who we need to bring in and who we don't need to bring in. But, so be it. Now, everybody just want to see changes and roll. Pay this guy and pay that guy. They got other things to look at before they get to there. And then, pass rusher when you get to that point. But then outside of pass rusher, you got to start looking at, a center, a guard, possibly a left tackle. There's just a number of things that, they may or may not have to look at, especially if they're going to keep, that guy quarterback. So the interior of that line, they got to get the running game going. So much talk that they were having was just talking about explosive plays from the offensive side of the ball, and we're going to keep the same running scheme, and it just wasn't enough emphasis on running the ball. Or we going to pass the ball to the backs out the backfield, and they were talking about all these philosophical changes and all this stuff they wanted to do, but ultimately, it's just like, ultimately it was just like, yeah. They need to get with an offensive coordinator that's going to put emphasis on running the ball. They need an offensive line that can keep a pocket clean in the middle of that offensive line. You got Tay Ralledge, so let's see what you could do. If you keep him at guard, see what you do at center and left guard. See what you can do at left tackle. So, but, we'll see. When the Lions say big changes, or when they talk about changes or getting a big name player, or just in Detroit in general, it ain't never a big name player. It's never what you think is going to be. It's never what you think is going to be. That's the crazy thing about it. It's never what you think it's going to be. So, hey, thumbs up the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel. That subscribe button is the bell icon button. Hit all notifications, increase your chance, get notifications. We go live or drop video. Appreciate the love and support. Let me know what you girls and guys think in the comment section. Peace. Detroit Lions Talk Playlist.